Morning light was only beginning to stretch across the quiet roadway on the 20,800 block of 110th Avenue Southeast. Frost still clung to the lawn, and the neighborhood remained hushed in that brief calm before the day's noise began. Outside the house, a mother moved with practiced speed, loading her 4 children into the family SUV. Her teenage daughter worked beside her, buckling the youngest of the twins, 2 lively 2-year-olds, into their seats from the passenger side. It was early, just before 7 a.m., but the morning routine was familiar, almost automatic. The Ring camera watched all of it, every small, ordinary movement. Nothing seemed out of place, until everything snapped. From the far end of the parking area, a man suddenly appeared. Hood up, stride steady but fast, eyes locked on the idling SUV. Neither the mother nor her daughter noticed him at first. He approached with a chilling confidence, like someone who already knew exactly what he was about to do. And then, in a burst of motion, he lunged. The teenager gasped as the man slipped past her, yanked open the driver's door, and threw himself inside. For a heartbeat, the world froze. Then the engine roared. "Mom!" the girl screamed. The suspect slammed the door, shifted into gear, and the SUV leapt forward, tires spitting frost as it tore out of the driveway. The mother spun just in time to see her vehicle, her babies inside it, being stolen before her eyes. But the horror wasn't over, because one of the twins wasn't buckled in yet. As the SUV jerked forward, the toddler's small car seat tipped, twisted, and in a violent instant it tumbled out of the open passenger side door, ejecting the little boy onto the hard asphalt. The toddler hit the ground and rolled, the tiny coat puffing with dust and frost. For a moment he didn't move. The suspect didn't stop. The SUV streaked away, vanishing around the bend with 2 children still trapped inside. The teenage girl didn't hesitate. She sprinted toward the house, burst through the door, and screamed for her mother. Seconds later, both of them were running, full speed, barefoot and shaking, down the driveway after the fleeing car. Their shouts echoed through the street. Their fear tore through the morning air. Behind them, the 2-year-old who had fallen out of the car began to cry, a thin, desperate sound. But he was alive. His injuries, later confirmed, were not as severe as they could have been. A miracle. But the other 2 children were gone. As neighbors emerged from their homes, confusion spread through the neighborhood. Phones were grabbed. 911 was called. The Ring camera footage, harsh, unforgiving, time-stamped, had captured the entire nightmare in seconds. And the suspect? He drove them away into the morning fog, vanishing between rows of silent houses. For agonizing minutes, detectives, dispatchers, and every responding officer braced for the worst. But then, suddenly, miraculously, the 2 kidnapped toddlers were found abandoned a few neighborhoods away, cold and shaken but unharmed. The suspect, however, slipped away. Despite massive media coverage, shared footage, and countless tips, the man who committed the brazen morning light kidnapping has never been identified. Detectives ran forensics, chased leads, and traced every whisper, but the trail grew colder with every passing week. Yet the video, the terrifying few seconds where a normal morning turned into chaos, remains burned into memory. A reminder of how quickly safety can shatter, and how fiercely a mother will run for her children. This video is a stark reminder that even on the safest-looking mornings, danger can appear without warning. Never leave a running car unattended, always keep doors locked during loading, and stay aware of your surroundings, because a few seconds of caution can prevent a lifetime of heartbreak. Just after 2 a.m. on an otherwise quiet Sunday morning in a neighborhood in northeast Wichita, a Ring doorbell camera blinked awake. The porch was dimly lit, the yard still, and the street silent. Nothing unusual for that hour. The homeowner, asleep inside, had no idea that within seconds the camera would capture a moment that would later send shockwaves through the community. At first, the video showed only the ordinary driveway and the parked cars glinting faintly under the weak porch light. Then, out of the darkness, a woman burst into view. Her steps were frantic, uneven. She was running straight toward the house as if it were the only safe place in reach. Just behind her, a man emerged, closing the distance fast. The camera recorded everything with chilling clarity. The woman reached the porch breathless, her voice cracking as she shouted, "Stop it!" She tried to pull away, desperation shaking through her whole body. But the man grabbed her, wrapping his arms around her and dragging her backwards. She fought. She twisted. She screamed. Still, he pulled her off the porch step by step, ignoring her pleas. The two figures struggled down the walkway and then disappeared into the darkness at the edge of the yard, swallowed by the night. Then, silence. The porch camera kept recording, its lens pointed at nothing but stillness, as if the house itself were holding its breath. The next morning, the homeowner reviewed the footage and froze. Shock turned into dread, and without hesitation they contacted the Wichita Police Department. Officers immediately launched an investigation and released the footage to the public, asking for help in identifying both the woman and the man. Hours later, a call came in. A woman, likely the very one in the video, told officers that the man seen dragging her was her boyfriend. A fight had erupted between them earlier that night, and in a violent rage, he had chased her down, grabbed her, and forced her away from the porch. Police soon identified the individuals involved. The man was located, arrested, and charged with multiple offenses, including aggravated battery, strangulation, domestic simple battery, and criminal restraint. Thankfully, despite the terrifying incident, the woman did not suffer major injuries. The video became a haunting reminder of a truth too often ignored. Violence from someone you trust is still violence, and silence can be deadly. The footage, though horrifying, may ultimately have saved a life. It stands as a stark warning that abusive behavior rarely stops on its own, and that reaching out for help can make all the difference. The afternoon of March 6, 2017, was quiet along the corner of King Road and Highway 64 in Transylvania County, North Carolina. From the outside, it was just another gray, still day. Cars idling, the distant hum of the highway, and a cold breeze drifting across the open yard. Nothing hinted at the terror that was seconds away from unfolding. From the viewpoint of the old surveillance camera posted atop a nearby home, a dark-colored car rolled slowly into frame, turning into the gravel pull-off by the roadside. At first it looked like any normal stop, a car pausing to talk, perhaps to check directions. But then, without warning, the passenger door flew open. A woman burst out. She didn't hesitate. She didn't look back. She ran, arms pumping, legs trembling, her entire body fueled by raw fear. The camera caught her sprinting toward the nearby house, desperate for safety, as if the ground itself were collapsing behind her. For a moment, It seemed she might make it. But the back door of the car swung open. A man jumped out. He chased her down with terrifying speed, closing the gap between them in seconds. The camera, unblinking and emotionless, captured the moment he reached her, grabbing, striking, dragging. The woman struggled, her knees hitting the ground, her hands clawing at the grass, but he was stronger. He punched her, kicked her, and forced her back toward the waiting vehicle. A second man got out. Together, the two forced her inside. Then the doors slammed. The car reversed, turned toward Highway 64, and sped away toward Henderson County, taking her with it. The yard, moments before filled with movement, fell eerily silent. The footage spread quickly. Neighbors shared it, then local groups, then news outlets. The disturbing video caught the attention of investigators, and within hours, law enforcement launched a full-scale search. The suspects were soon located. According to reports, 26-year-old Marquise Shante Logan, believed to have been in a relationship with the victim, was charged with first-degree kidnapping, assault on an unborn child, assault on a female, and he was held at the Transylvania County Detention Center under no bond. Another suspect, 26-year-old Tyrian Kendrell Massagey, was charged with first-degree kidnapping. He was held on an $80,000 secured bond. The woman, frightened, injured but alive, was finally safe. If something feels you wrong, trust your instincts. If you see someone running for help, don't look away. And if you ever witness violence or coercion, reporting it immediately can save a life. It was an ordinary spring afternoon inside the McDonald's on East Olympic Boulevard in Los Angeles. Bright light flooding through the tall windows, trays clattering, families chatting over fries. The restaurant's CCTV camera watched it all with its usual unblinking stare. At 3:02 p.m. on May 14, 2019, nothing seemed out of place. In the far corner, a little 4-year-old boy stood near a chair, swinging his tiny legs and staring curiously at the bustle around him. His guardian was only steps away, unaware that the next few seconds would turn a peaceful lunch into a nightmare. Then, she appeared. A young woman drifted into frame, moving with a strange calmness. She didn't glance around, she didn't hesitate. She walked straight toward the small boy, her posture unnervingly deliberate. To the camera, she was just another customer, but to anyone paying attention, something was off. In a chilling instant, she leaned down, scooped the boy into her arms, and turned toward the exit. The child didn't scream. Shock often steals a voice before fear can find it. The woman carried him quickly, almost naturally, as if he were her own. But someone was paying attention. A teenage girl seated nearby jerked her head up, her eyes narrowing. She had seen the boy standing alone moments before. Now she watched a stranger, a complete stranger, walk out with him without a word. Her body reacted before her mind could catch up. She shot out of her seat, racing after the woman, her heart pounding so loudly she could barely hear her own footsteps. As she burst through the doors, she shouted for help, her voice cracking through the warm May air like a siren. Outside, the woman was already heading toward a parked vehicle. Witnesses looked up. One ran toward her. Another yelled. The woman froze for a fraction of a second, just long enough for the truth of the situation to erupt into chaos around her. And then, realizing she had been caught, she abandoned the child, released her grip, and fled on foot, disappearing between parked cars and scattering pedestrians. But the boy was safe, shaken, crying, but safe. Sirens arrived soon after. Officers gathered statements, replayed the footage, and began the search. Later, according to the Los Angeles Police Department, the suspect, a 33-year-old woman already identified by police, was located and taken into custody near San Pedro and Agatha Streets in downtown Los Angeles. Inside the restaurant, customers sat in stunned silence, realizing how close they had come to witnessing a tragedy. The CCTV camera kept recording, unaware that what it had captured that afternoon would be replayed, retold, and remembered. Moments like this remind us how vital it is to stay alert in public spaces. A single attentive person can change the outcome of an entire story. If something feels wrong, even for a second, trust your instincts. Awareness saves lives. It was a calm and quiet morning on April 29, 2016, at the corner of 13th Place and Hatcher Road in Phoenix, Arizona. The sun had barely climbed above the desert mountains, and the streets shimmered under the dry heat. The surveillance cameras on a nearby rooftop recorded another ordinary day. Cars passing, the breeze stirring up dust, and the faint chirping of morning birds. Then, a red Ford Mustang appeared on the screen. Its bright color caught the light like a flame against the muted landscape. The driver, a woman in her mid-30s, slowed down and parked across the street. Moments later, a man on a bicycle rolled up beside her. They spoke quietly, their gestures sharp. Something between them was clearly tense. For a few minutes it looked like an argument disguised as a calm exchange. The man pointed at her, then at the ground, as if pleading or explaining. The woman crossed her arms, her face unreadable. Finally they parted ways. The man pedaled off toward a nearby corner, and the woman turned the Mustang around and drove off in the opposite direction. The camera returned to silence, but not for long. Barely 5 minutes later, the same red car reappeared. The woman's driving was different now. The Mustang moved with purpose, its engine roaring like bottled-up rage. The man had returned to the intersection, standing with two other cyclists, talking casually, unaware that the quiet morning was about to shatter. The car accelerated. In a terrifying blur, the Mustang swerved across the lane, straight toward the cyclist. The impact was brutal. The man was launched into the air, his bicycle crushed under the front wheels. For a split second, his body twisted above the hood before crashing onto the asphalt. The red Mustang didn't stop. It sped away, tires screeching, disappearing around the curve as if swallowed by the desert road. The surveillance camera caught everything. The cyclist lay motionless for several seconds, his green bike beside him. Then, miraculously, he stirred, pushing himself up, his arms trembling. Two friends rushed to his side, shouting in shock and horror. Blood trailed down his arm, his body wobbling as he tried to stand. He stumbled toward a nearby house, searching for help, his face pale but alive. Within hours, the footage spread online, shocking the community. Police traced the red Mustang to Misty Lee Wilkie, the woman seen in the footage, the cyclist's girlfriend. Investigators soon uncovered the twisted motive. She had just discovered that her boyfriend was positive. Consumed by anger, betrayal, and fear, she'd turned her fury into a weapon, her car. Wilkie was arrested soon after. A Maricopa County grand jury charged her with attempted second-degree murder, leaving the scene of an accident, and aggravated assault with a deadly weapon. The victim survived, but his body and spirit carried the scars of that morning forever. This video shows that anger, when left unchecked, can become destructive, not just to others, but to oneself. In a single moment of rage, Misty Wilk traded her freedom, her future, and her humanity for revenge. No truth, however painful, justifies violence. Control in moments of fury is not weakness, it's wisdom that can save lives.